Former United States Army soldier Chelsea Manning, previously known as Bradley Manning, was convicted in July 2013 for violating the Espionage Act and various other offenses after releasing nearly 750,000 classified military documents. In 2009, Chelsea Manning was assigned to an Army unit in Iraq as an intelligence analyst. Manning's position allowed her to have access to classified databases. She downloaded 400,000 documents that became known as the Iraq War Logs and 91,000 documents that became known as the Afghan War Logs. She released this information through WikiLeaks. Manning began talking to a famous internet hacker known as Adrian Lamo. Manning eventually ended up confessing to Lamo, and Lamo indirectly informed the Army's Criminal Investigation Command. Manning was arrested that same year. Manning was charged with 22 offenses. She ended up being convicted of 17 of those charges and was sentenced to 35 years at a maximum security U.S. disciplinary barracks at Fort Leavenworth. In 2017, former President Barack Obama commuted her sentence to nearly 7 years. In the databases that Manning had access to, there was no way of monitoring if any files were being downloaded to an external disk. Therefore, she was able to steal a large number of files and was able to sneak the CDRW past security by labeling it Lady Gaga. She attempted to give this information to the New York Times and the Washington Post, but they were uninterested and thus did not publish anything. Because the newspapers refused to publish her information, she got in contact with Julian Assange and released it through WikiLeaks. At this time, she began internet chatting with Adrian Lamo. She began telling Adrian very personal information about her life. She spoke hypothetically when talking about the files she had access to through the Army. She eventually confessed all her crimes to Adrian because she trusted him. 7 years after her arrest, former President Obama believed she had served a long enough sentence, so 3 days before leaving office, he commuted her sentence. I do not think Chelsea Manning is a traitor. I think she did what she could with the resources provided. Even though the vehicle by which she released the information could have been accessed by enemies of the United States, I still do not believe she is a traitor. She tried to release this information through alternate, safer means. However, that did not work out. She did what she had to do to get the information out to the public. Manning genuinely did what she thought was best for the American people. Manning was very successful in alerting the public of the injustice going on in Iraq and Afghanistan. Information like this is better out than in, and due to the weight of the content she released, it would be very hard to go unnoticed. Throughout the past few years, she and her story have become very well known. Due to her actions, she has become one of the most famous whistleblowers of our time. When talking about whistleblowers, it's hard to avoid the topic of Chelsea Manning. Although Chelsea Manning's sentence was commuted, she does not have a clean slate. She is still a convicted felon. Therefore, she does not have the same rights as other United States citizens. For example, she does not have the right to vote. Chelsea Manning went out of her way to release this information. She absolutely did not have to do this. This is the price she had to pay for doing the right thing.